democracy is the raison d'etre of every country in Africa. You cannot dictate for a country how to run its internal affairs. You are not the policeman of West Africa. So why were you taking such stands to the point that these people have decided to pull out? So it puts our national security in jeopardy because they formed that buffer zone. Without Niger standing firm and being an ally, I don't know what will happen in the next couple of months. Of course. President Muhammad Buhari said it then that a lot of these fighters came from Libya and all of those places. If Niger today decides to fold its arms and simply look the other way while these things happen, where are we going to be? We are already unable to contain what is happening internally. Now, when you have an inflow of arms and the men into Nigeria, because Nigeria is an oil-producing country where you can get kidnapped and millions of dollars is being contributed for you through crowdfunding. Yeah. What if you now see opportunistic terrorists coming in to take advantage of this thoroughfare of criminality, of kidnapping for ransom? What happens? So why did you jeopardize your national interest? Because you are bellowing on a country on how to run its internal affairs.
Well, I think for him it's a rock and a hard place. One being the president of a country and the chairman of the ECOWAS. And he felt like at that point, ECOWAS was the bigger picture to say you need to protect the regional interest.
For him, if indeed he thought that ECOWAS was the bigger picture, I don't want to use certain kind of adjective to describe our president, or any president for that matter, that will put regional interest ahead of his own interest. I give the example of the United States. Let me tell you something about the United States and democracy.
But he also had that mandate to put regional interest.
No.
To protect that regional interest.
Not even the regional body expect you to do that. They don't even expect you to do it.
Okay.
They don't. You see, Nigeria does not border Cote d'Ivoire. It borders more of Nigeria. If you look at Ghana took an ambivalent position on this matter.
Yeah.
They were not so pushful. Nigerian president took it as though it was a personal call for him to demonstrate as an apostle of democracy on the continent. To impress who I do not know. Look, in the 50s...
But then there were foreign influence. I mean, from France and from the US.
The US didn't influence us. This is another misnomer. The US didn't even make so much noise about this coup. You know why? They also went...
They made some statement concerning
and ended it there. That's all you should do. Before that statement was made, they sent in their envoy to secure guarantees of the continuous presence of their military facilities in Niger, which was granted. Have you heard US talk about Niger since then? Even France didn't even complain about the coup until, of course, this national, anxiety, should I say, sentiment against French domination. Otherwise, France didn't talk about the coup. France was in that country. French troops were in that country. They didn't prevent the coup from happening. They didn't protect Mr. President Bazoum. Because for them, anybody who comes or goes, we deal. But there was already a groundswell of sentiment against the French. Otherwise, the French are not particular about who is ruling Niger. Their own is don't jeopardize our security and that's what they're pursuing. Only Nigeria is pursuing democracy in Niger. When you're pursuing your own interests, as these two countries are pursuing. Look, in the 50s, Iran had a democratically elected Prime Minister, Mohammed Mossadegh, democratically elected. But he did something, he nationalized Western oil assets in Iran under very popular demand, The MI6 and the CIA, British Secret Service, and the US Secret Service as well came together to orchestrate a coup in Iran. This is a fact because when America declassified their had to let us know the extent of which were involved. They removed the democratically elected prime minister and installed a dictator, a monarchical dictatorship in the person of Mohammed Reza Shah Pahlavi, the Shah of Iran, because he was going to guarantee the continuous tapping of oil from that country. And even when the Shah fell to the uprising that was led by Imam Khomeini, America initially didn't oppose Imam Khomeini so long as the cooperation remained. The only time America started opposing Imam Khomeini and Iran as a whole was when the hostage crisis took place. And Imam Khomeini showed inability to rein in the extremists amongst the Iranians. That was what started the relationship between America and Iran. Otherwise, Imam Khomeini was hailed as a hero in the West, and he made the front cover of Time magazine as the man of the year, 1979. It tells you that countries put their interest first. How come America is not pressuring Saudi Arabia to become a democracy? How come? How come America would tell all its citizens in Saudi to obey all the laws there? Please obey it. And if you're a woman, if you're going outside of the military base there, put on your hijab, please. How come America does not ask Saudi to respect human rights or religious freedoms? Because they have a strategic energy and national security pact that has lasted since 1944 to today. And that is the most important thing to the United States of America.
So you respect the boundaries.
You respect the boundaries. So I wonder why God gave our president that impression that he can talk down on Niger, a country that you can't even defeat in a war, because we already bogged down in internal war for your own country. Of what interest? What is this thing about Niger and their style of leadership that was such a big issue for you that you were ready to commit a whole nation to go and start fighting an external war at time we are fighting internal warfare, and we are not even able to contain the internal insurrection we are facing. And I look at the bigger picture.
His general handling of it is what
created this problem. This is not the first time we're having coups in Africa. Africa is still prone to coups because our democracy is failing. That was what I expected them to address. And for him, he has been a pro-democracy activist, a pro-democracy defender almost all his adult life. I had expected him to understand this dynamic, to say, look, democracy is what we want, but is the democracy in Niger and much of other parts of Africa, are they actually democratic enough to prevent such interventions? That should have been the focus. And he should have led by example, by being a damn good president that would deepen democratic good governance in Nigeria, such that people now look at Nigeria and say, look, if we do what Tinubu is doing in Nigeria, by way of almost near absolute, near zero corruption, high integrity leadership, accountable leadership that has yielded welfare and security for the people, then what are we doing with military? Maybe democracy really works. That is what you should use your influence to do in the sub-region, and not harassing an ally like Niger. And look at the consequences today.
All right, the consequences is that you're seeing member states deciding to withdraw, and there's very little anyone can do about it because they're a sovereign state and they do have a right to decide to get out of any treaty that is signed. Besides, the treaty also makes provision on how you can exit the body. Brexit did that. A lot of people have had unions dissolved at one point or the other. But the fear is, would he just give others the impetus to just go ahead and decide this isn't working for us? Or are we even going to, like Dr. Majeed said, perhaps this is not even the end of coup d'etat we're seeing on the continent, because it feels like there's a wave of it going on due to the shortly handling of democracy.
It happened in the Arab world. We had dictators sitting for
with the Arab Spring,
The Arab Spring happened. These are natural things that will happen, except you are able to deliver. And for a diverse country or a plural country like Nigeria, where you don't have a centralized monarchy, deepening of democracy has become an imperative as an antidote.
Yeah.
But Dr. Majeed, I just want to ask, I'm so sorry to come in there very quickly, because there's this, the outcry and everything. Isn't there anything that can be done, whether it is from the chairman of the ECOWAS or from other countries, to just engage in some sort of negotiation? We're probably trying to make up for whatever they did that incensed these people to leave. Would you say that there is a role that the chairman of the ECOWAS can play, or any other regions, any of the other countries within the ECOWAS, to sort of douse this tension and maybe stop them from leaving?
I think you've asked a very, very important question, and I hope that the government is listening, because what I've discovered is that they don't just listen. This can be remedied. Again, Nigeria should play that role. First, Nigeria should send its foreign affairs minister. It doesn't have to be a publicized trip. Or even when you go it and it is publicized, you don't have to give details of the discussion. Go now and secure those guarantees I've talked about in exchange for the calling off of all the so-called sanctions imposed on this country, including the cutting of power supply to Niger. That was not supposed to happen in the first place, because it was a betrayal of the pact you signed with them. Don't forget that at the time we signed that pact, Nigeria was under military rule. And Nigeria itself probably was under military, I don't know. But so these are not things you should just jeopardize overnight because somebody changed leadership that was popular in their country. They should go back and call off all those sanctions quietly. Call it off with guarantees that nothing will happen to them. The only thing that you just require of them to do is to, even if it is symbolically, to announce a transition period. To say, okay, between now and so time, we are going to have a transition from military to civil rule. That's all. That suffices. That's all. Or just even express a commitment to return to civil rule after they've done certain kind of restructuring or engineering within the country. That's what I would needed to get from them. And Nigeria is key in doing this. Once they get Niger back on the table and Niger feels safe enough and can trust Nigeria once more, I'm sure the Nigerian leaders can activate their contacts with the broader military Mali and see if this can be remedied. Because again, even their own security is not also guaranteed without a regional support. The only thing is, a man that is down fears no fall. So we need to fear more So the first thing to do is for Nigeria to do that which we should have done at the beginning. Dispatch an envoy to that country.
Well, Dr. Majeed, aren't we making these three countries look like they hold the longer end of the stick here? For example, I mean, when we're talking about it during the week, landlocked countries, looking at their GDP, looking at their population, they're severing their relationship with their quote-unquote ex-colonizer, France. And then this sort of hostility with your neighboring country also. It feels like they're closing themselves in and making themselves more of a pariah state. Are they just going to do business with just themselves at this point in time? So the long run, they are more at a disadvantage to all of this,
I think we should worry more about our own disadvantages and let them worry about theirs.
I see them more at a disadvantage.
It's a possibility, but I'm saying if your disadvantage is going to, if your own disadvantage, no matter how little it is, going to destabilize your country.
Well.
So, they have a lot of things to contend with. I'm sure they've made their own plans as to how to, circumnavigate the issue of not having access to, the sea. There are other countries that they are bordering along the Sahel that they could utilize their port, maybe Morocco, maybe Libya. I do not know. They could also bring a lot of things through cargo flights and in and out of the country. I don't know. But what is important to us is what we are discussing. If these people pull out and become hostile, that buffer that they occupy between West Africa proper and the Sahelian region is what is of importance to us. It can result into crisis, especially for a country like Nigeria that's already, reeling from existing proliferation of arms from that region into this country. We might have an increase of some of those tendencies that could heighten insecurity more than it is already. And so for us as a people, we must do that is in our interest.
All right.
And this is standard international relations and diplomatic engagement. In fact, with proper agreement, even God and David can sit on the round table and have some discussion. Look, in the 80s, if you know the hostility between Iran after the hostage crisis in America and Israel, even though Iran is always chanting death to Israel, death to America. But will you believe that these three countries actually traded in arms during the period that every Friday the Ayatollah, Imam Khomeini, will be in the mosque in Tehran, chanting death to Israel and America. America will be in Washington, screaming over the heads of Iran. Do you know that Iran, Israel, and America conducted serious armed deals in the 80s? It's called the Iran-Contra affair. America decided to allow Israel to sell arms through a proxy to Iran during the war between Iran and Iraq. Then the proceeds of that arms deal will now be used to support the Contras of Paraguay, a rebel group that's back in America that want to topple the socialist government of that country. It happened. So these people that are starting that discussed when it came to the national interest. They discussed behind closed doors and traded in arms. Iran pumped a lot of money through that front, through Israel, back to the United States of America. This is diplomacy. Look, I don't know how we conduct our diplomatic affairs, and I shouldn't be the one teaching them their job. And I'm sure we have a lot of veterans in the field that can tell them the simple rules of diplomacy. You stoop low to get what you want. And Nigeria is one country we should not have had the kind of confrontation we had with. Not at all. It's hurtful. We're not fair to them, and we should begin to rebuild and reestablish that relationship.
All right. Let's look at some comments quickly just before we shift gear into other security matters. Feel free to call us if you want to touch on this story quickly. We'll take about 3 phone calls, read some messages, and then get to the next story. 0700 951 0000 or 0809 5974869. You can call via WhatsApp on 0809 9930 Hello.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, welcome.
My name is Samuel, calling from Metama.
Welcome, go ahead.
Yeah. I think there's something Dr. Majeed just said that I'm curious about. I don't think the people in government don't actually have people to tell them the truth. It's either they are not listening or they just decided to do it with them. Now, I think one of the problem President had was the issue of how Obasanjo dealt with the coup. Is it later? I can't remember one of those countries that the envoy came to Nigeria, and before he went back, a coup happened and he made a declaration and it stands. I think that was what he made reference to that made him make that decision. Now, I also feel ECOWAS is not doing enough because the last time I checked, I learned a country like Cameroon and so don't have their own central bank of their own. They operate with the central bank of France. Now, what role has ECOWAS played in issues like that? Not to talk about coming too fast, play the role they played against Niger. I just feel this our government, they are not. I think our government are not too concerned about the citizens, because if they are, the president will not be in one place when the calamity is in another state of his state in Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hello. Good afternoon.
Hello. Good afternoon. Yes, my name is calling you from Abuja. Good afternoon.
Your name is what?
My name is Maya.
Okay, welcome.
All right.
All right. We need to drop your call, sorry. The connection is really poor. So please try and call back.
Hello.
Hello. Good afternoon.
Hello, Majeed. And hello, the second presenter.
My name is Somi. Thank you. Welcome.
Okay, my name is Morris. I'm calling from Guaripa. The truth of the matter about our president blowing hot during having witnessed the coup in Niger was just that he wanted to, because he had so much skeletons in his cupboard, so he wanted to distract the world. That was just the truth. Because today in Nigeria, are we even practicing democracy right from the last election to now? Is there anything that shows democracy in Nigeria? So it was just like trying to show to the world that you are democratic, to cover your own side. Meanwhile, your own side is worse. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Come.
Yes, this is Maya calling from Abuja.
Welcome, Mayor.
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Majeed.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Kate.
Welcome, Mayor. Go ahead.
Okay, so Mr. Majeed has said it all. I mean, I wish I need to see Mr. Majeed one-on-one, because I'm a great listener of his thoughts and all that. We are lying the same way. It's just, I mean, these people in power, they don't care. All they want is just to, amass. They don't have any intellectual know-how to handle situations. They just do it the way they feel they can do and get something out of it, which will not benefit the citizens. I heard Kim was talking about, these people will suffer at the end. These people are food sufficient, for goodness sake. Are we food sufficient in Nigeria?
Who is food sufficient amongst the three of them?
I have a friend who is in Burkina Faso. I mean, their textile, every day, they export it to other countries. And there are other neighboring countries that have seas. There's Morocco, like Mr. Majeed said. There's Tunisia. On the up north, there's Algeria, Libya, and so what. They would find new friends, and there's opportunity for the air cargo to be booming.
All right.
To cut them out of electricity. So, what are we? Are this stable power in Nigeria, or are they not finding alternatives? These people in power, they don't have anything upstairs.
Okay. Thank you very much. We'll leave it at that. Let's look at some messages and get to the next story.
Mike When Wind Blows says, good day, Mr. Majeed. The late Abamiada had said a long time ago that this is a demonstration of crazy and not democracy. All right, thank you so much. Hafsat sends in a message. She's greeting everyone in the studio. Thank you so much, Hafsat. Good afternoon, Doctor, and thank you for always bringing us into the picture of happenings. If you are not prepared and ready to govern, but just go there because it is your turn, then we should just know that the results will be questionable. God bless Nigeria. Triple D sends that in from Waru. Geronimo from Duse Alhaji says, currently the Nigerian government can't even police the entire sovereignty. The EU military mission does most of their counterinsurgency operations, including in most of the Sahel countries. The so-called junta government, if left alone in real terms, their whole mess will become ours in days. Nigeria, as a regional power with other stakeholders like the EU or even France, have every right to have a say for our national stability. Okay, we'll take this one from Radio Senator who says, good afternoon. President Tinubu doesn't have any blame for the military rules and the radical approaches embarked upon by the military junta in Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso. You say you listen to Professor Ajibola talking about the hostilities of the military juntas in the three countries and international politics. We are talking about sovereign states, and there's nothing any ECOWAS chairman can do about their stone-hearted decision. The diplomatic relationship between Nigeria and the three countries cannot be severed. Okay. All right.
Did you look at Facebook?
Let's see Facebook. All right. From Facebook, we have this message. Happy Wednesday, Dr. Majeed and Kimberly. Nice to see you. You're asking about who I am. I am not replacing Itodo, but I'm just sitting in for today. My name is Somi, and you're looking forward to our discourse this afternoon. Thank you so much. Amujo is greeting Dr. Majeed especially. He says first time he's seen him live on radio. All right. Those are the messages that I can access.
All right. So let's get to the next story. And this time the EFCC is alleging, well, maybe they have all their facts, I want to believe that some religious sects in Nigeria are laundering money for terrorists. And it's not the first time, perhaps will be the last time we'd hear something tied to religious sect. But let's get a bit of the detail and then get Dr. Majeed's opinion.
Right. The chairman of the EFCC, Ola Olukoede, revealed that the anti-graft agency uncovered how a religious sect in Nigeria is laundering money for terrorists. And he said this during a public engagement on youth religion and the fight against corruption, as well as the launch of the Fraud Risk Assessment Project for MDAs. He stated that the EFCC is currently investigating a 13 billion naira fraud case when they discovered that 7 billion of the 13 billion was linked to a religious body's account. And of course, he said that religious organizations, institutions, and sects have been found culpable of money laundering in the past. But in this particular instance, he said once the investigations began, the religious organization quickly obtained a restraining order to prevent the EFCC from probing its leaders. However, they were able to trace some of the laundered money to a religious organization. And when they approached the religious organization about it and were carrying out their investigation, that's when the restraining order came, stopping them from continuing with the investigation. However, they said the commission will not give up, and they're appealing that the restraining order to recover the stolen funds they're appealing the restraining order.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people have been asking, who are the people financing terrorism, or who did in the past, or who are still doing it? Even though insecurity has morphed into something a bit more complex now, beyond just terrorism to marauding bandit to kidnappers for ransom. It feels like a free-for-all movement that we're seeing right now. Ekiti State yesterday was in mourning. A bus was hijacked with school children and teachers. Just a few days before that, 2 monarchs were killed, removed from their homes and killed by these criminals who wanted money off of them at the end of the day. FCT isn't spared for it. So beyond terrorists in the northeast to the dimension that insecurity has taken, the big question is, what exactly is going on? Who are the people behind it? But going back to this sect matter, I mean, a lot of people say that there's something fishy going on, honestly. And it's easy to piece 2 and 2 together.
Okay, from the statement the EFCC chairman made, you can actually break that story into 2 components.
Okay.
He talked about a religious sect that was laundering money for a terrorist organization or terrorist organizations, right, on one hand. They also talked about the tracing of funds to another religious body, and when they attempted to get the money, they slammed them with a restraining order.
Yeah.
So, for me, this, if you disaggregate this statement properly, it reminds me of something that somebody once told me about religion in Nigeria. I think I just left the studio of a TV station. So the producer of the show came out and told me that, look, as far as it's concerned, the 2 major religions in Nigeria, one promotes terrorism, the other one promotes corruption. And he said, look, you can steal as much as you want to steal. Once you pay your tithe to certain places, nobody cares about how you get your money. And then he said, if you look at Boko Haram also, he seems to have some religious on that too. So for him, we should roll back on excessive religiosity because it has not done us any good. This was just his opinion anyway. So you can pin at this statement, you can segregate it and just put it on these 2 major religious groupings in Nigeria. But what I have against this statement is that enough of this, should I say, statements that leave Nigerians guessing. It's wrong, and I think it's very wrong. If you uncovered a case or an issue as serious as a religious sect laundering money for terrorists, why are they not being named? Why don't you know them? A suspect can be exposed, particularly because of terrorism. This is a very serious issue. And we know that one of the major theaters of war in Nigeria today, which is the Northeast, and of course across the country, if you ask me, because ISWAP, Ansaru, Boko Haram, they're all operating across the country, has links to religious, errant, deviant religious groups or groupings. And then you say you discover the sect that is involved in this. Why are you not naming that sect? Why are the leaders of that sect not being named? Why are they not being charged to call for diligent prosecution? Why are you just telling us this? The reason is, if now that you are thrown into the public, you will soon start hearing conspiracy theories that will obfuscate the entire matter and create even, it will be like a Tower of Babel. Everybody will start talking left, right, center, because conspiracy theories will start, emerging from all corners of the world about this statement. A government does not speak like this. A government speaks with authority. When you find out something, say it as it is. And when you trace monies to a particular religious organization and they got you, put it out. Let us know the religious organization. Let us know the individual that is the suspect, where he comes from, what he does, his religious group, the religious group in itself. We need to have a complete profile of criminals, terrorists, so that we can begin to have ideas of why this thing is becoming intractable. So this chairman should not stop at this. He should go the whole hog. He should name the sect. And if you don't need to name the sect, let him stop talking about this matter then. Let him keep it to himself.
Because at one point, what value does he add? The
other day, Minister came out and told the highly profile people behind illegal mining and terrorism. How can they go and be speaking like this? Tell us in specific terms. Who is responsible? And this matter is serious enough. It's serious enough for such an organization to be named. So people will know. I remember under Goodluck Jonathan's administration, there was a busting of a catcher of arms in Kano. It was traced to a group. It was traced to the international affiliates. Names were named. Their businesses were named. Everything about them was made known. So we knew where this thing was coming from and that this tendency had entered Nigeria. And somebody was careful. So you can't come and just make this blanket statement as an agency of government that is in charge of fighting corruption. And if in your war against corruption, you found money laundering activities now associated with terrorism, why are you not naming it? There are lots of suspects that you've named. After all, you've not even convicted them. But we know that some people are standing trial. And it's good. We need to know those that are standing trial and for what they're standing trial for. Why are you not naming this group? You need to name this group. We need to know the group we're talking about, the membership of this group. And we need to see them being prosecuted diligently in court and secured convictions taking place. So I don't know why he's not revealing all. He needs to reveal it.
Who knows? It might just be the last we hear of this until perhaps on this refers to it.
As usual.
What happens next?
The last time the minister for Solid Minerals told you that they are aware. They know the people behind all sorts of things. So, have you heard anything from them since then? So why are you not naming this group? Why? I want to believe the FCC chairman that what he's saying is true. I want to believe it. I'm tempted to believe it. Because if you look at the nature of Boko Haram insurgency and such related groups, there's a possibility. But he needs to name it so that you don't leave room for speculation. Look, let me tell you, in his own interest, better name the group because they'll come for him. They will come for him. Those that want to obfuscate this issue, those that want to, throw by this narrative, those that are living in denial of the underpinnings of these activities in Nigeria will come for him. And it might consume him. I know how this vested interest can operate. They can turn this on him.
But, I mean, for terrorism to flourish for a long time, you will know that there are a lot of stakeholders who are invested in it.
So why are you not revealing this? Now, if you have this information, you should have given it to the DSS, for example. The parents should be aware. So why is the federal government, as a matter of fact, not coming up with this huge revelation to say, look, we have.
Well, didn't the former Minister of Information allude to that when he was Minister, Lai Mohammed? And even said that they were going to publish some names, but they never got to at the end of the day.
Look, now that this EFCC chairman is saying this, the federal government of Nigeria ordinarily should announce to the nation that, look, we've made a huge discovery. That this particular sect, that's maybe quite popular, I'm sure, is involved in money laundering for terrorist groups, which is aiding and abetting the activities. It should be a big win for the war against terrorism and even the war against corruption. It should be a very big win. So why is the government not celebrating? Why are they hushing this information? Why are they not coming all out?
Well, Dr. Majeed, let's hope they have enough evidence to substantiate their claim. This is lose a lot of case in court.
This is the EFCC chairman speaking. Not me, not you, not an exclusive report. EFCC chairman. He has the authority to speak, and he gathered the group of religious people to address them on these issues. Why is he not making a categorical statement about this discovery? This is a very serious issue. So we have to go the whole work. Otherwise, if it's not ready, and not just him, any other government official is not ready to tell us what it is with full details, please, don't bring up these narratives that will now throw the entire media space into, random discussions with conspiracy theories flying out of the window here and there. And you can actually conflagrate already existing issues. Because I'm not saying it as it is.
Yeah.
So he needs to come out and tell us what it is. But I'm not surprised. Religion in Nigeria, I've said this severally, is like a psychotropic drug that needs to be controlled. Religion in Nigeria has done too much harm to us as a people. It's part of the problem we are facing. And religion is indeed a major enabler of corruption. You might be shocked to hear this. Organized religion. And whenever I go for sessions at Luke's Integrity Project with religious leaders, I truly challenge them. I say, you people are the major enablers of corruption because of your religious ideologies, your religious doctrines. That is essentially all about religious separatism. You live in a country, you are living in religious cocoons. So it is we versus them. And so, for example, you people have turned Nigeria into a competition ground for the two leading Abrahamic religions on who can dominate the other. Let me shock you. Do you know that it is a religious duty, for example, that if you occupy a government office, how you're able to favor your own side of the religious group more than the other? It's highly commendable. It earns you a front row seat in either your church or in your mosque. Yes, it does. In fact, it's as bad as if you're able to also take from the system very well and build mosques and set big churches and send people to Jerusalem and send people to Hajj. Oh, you're a hipster, you give Baba Dini, Baba, you are seen as doing the Lord's work. You are venerated in church, you are venerated in mosque. Yes. So what can be more corrupt than that? Because somebody thinks that by doing this for us, we have shown those people that we are more than them. Our God is answering our prayer more than their own. So, and vice versa. That is the situation in Nigeria. So I remember asking a class, I said, look, if you are a Muslim and you are a minister and there is vacancy of, say, 20 slots in your ministry and you are to employ, and of course, you tend to do God's work. Since they said all Muslims are brothers and sisters, you try to skew 15 for your own side so that God will reward you. Is that corruption, or how do you balance this conflict of interest between corruption what is right and what is religiously? And everybody started laughing, and I said, okay, you that are Christians do the same thing. Let's flip the coin around. As a Christian, as a dedicated member of the church, you're a minister too, so 20 slots. So you try to give it to your brothers and sisters in the Lord. How do you? I now made them understand that obeying law of a country and integrity of a process is more in sync with Christian and Muslim faith than trying to dominate one or the other. That is, to be Christian, to be Christ-like, for example, is to obey the law that governs that recruitment. Even if at the end of the day, there's only one Christian that qualifies. Once you put your stamp on it, you have done what Christ would have mandated you to do, or what he would have done by himself. The same thing with the Muslims. If you do it in the way the rules and regulations spells it out to be done, and no Muslim qualifies at the end of the day, based on the rules, you have done a great jihad. Because that is what the Prophet Muhammad would have done if he were to be alive or in that same position. But religion has been turned around. You see, religion is a subjective interpretation of faith. Faith is constant. I keep saying it that the faith of Christianity is Christ. But the religion called Christian religion is Emperor Constantinople. The same way with Islam. Islam, in its purest form, is Ahmad, is Muhammad. But the Muslim religion is Muawiyah. It is Suleiman the Magnificent. Conquerors and empire builders who use God's name to subjugate, to destroy, to build empires, and polluted the doctrines that have today created the problems you are facing. But of corruption, terrorism, and all the things you see. So there's a need to return all of these religions back to the original status of faith, which has human interest, humankind protection and preservation as its core purpose. And that is why all religious laws, if you look at it, all speak to the protection and the preservation of the humankind. Don't kill, don't steal, don't violate, don't do this, don't do that. All of it is to protect the humankind. And to be able to protect the humankind, you need integrity. You see, the integrity that makes you human. I keep saying it. Integrity is not something that you learn. It's not a heavy lifting activity. Right. Integrity means to be human being. Once you're a human being, fully evolved human being, you have integrity. And then you will not steal. You will not cut off anybody's hands. And all of the things that religion has caused, you will not even do it because you have integrity. You're a fully evolved human being.
Thank you very much. It felt like we sat through a class at Luxdera to get this lesson down. Absolutely needed at this point.
When you come to Nigeria, you see Muslims and Christians. But you don't see Christianity, you don't see Islam. But you go to the UK, you go to Germany, you go to the US. You don't see Muslims, you don't see Christians, but you see Christianity and you see Islam operational. These are countries where to steal 1 naira from public fund is no longer, it's as if it's no longer something that is possible or can even be conceptualized. That is Christian, that is Islam. Where the leadership does not take 1 naira of people's money. Where the leader will not sleep until everybody else is sleeping. That is Islam, that is Christianity. But you will not see Christians and Muslims. But come to Nigeria. Any day we're having ceremony on Lagos about the expressway, you sleep, anybody is passing there. You get up by 4 p.m., you sleep till the next day. If it is one that if we are gathered at the National Mosque here, tough. That day you get to your house by 12 a.m. And yet there's no Christianity, there's no Islam in Nigeria. And it is sad.
In the purest sense of it.
So I'm not surprised that the EFCC is coming up with this allegation that points to the two religions in Nigeria. The two. Along the two lines that we know that we know as we are Nigerians, we know we are practitioners of these faiths. We know. So it is sad. So we need the national rebate essentially.
Indeed.
To be able to overcome the problem of corruption. Look, it's only a political decision that can end corruption in Nigeria. That is when the leadership decide to commit class suicide and say, look, all things are new, let us start afresh. That's the only way we can end corruption. EFCC cannot end corruption on its own.
Okay. Well, let's hear this caller quickly, and we'll take more calls after the news at the top of the hour. 0700 951 0000, or you can call us via WhatsApp on 0809 9930 137.
Hello.
Via WhatsApp on 0809.
Hello, good afternoon.
137.
This time.
Hello.
Good afternoon, Kim.
Yes.
Hello, good afternoon.
Oh, sorry about that. Go ahead.
This time. Good afternoon, Kim.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, sorry about that. Let's put you on hold until we mute the mic from there. Hello?
Yes, hello. Good afternoon, Kim.
Good afternoon.
Yes, and your colleague. Good afternoon to you, Mr. Majeed. How are you doing? And, someone we respect a lot. This cash flow from City Street. Now, I just want to briefly, comment because I know the news will soon come up. The report released by the EFCC of knowing about an organization that is even affiliated with these two religious bodies in Nigeria. And we are aware of it. So what are we waiting for? Why is it that we see what is wrong in Nigeria, we turn a blind eye? Why are we like this? Is it that we continue? Why do we see crime and we just decide to let it slide? Honestly, if it's not ready to say that it should be fired, and let's bring someone who is bold enough to, say, do the needful. Good afternoon.
Afternoon. Thank you.
All right. You've been waiting. Sorry to put you on hold. We needed to sort our connection problem. Go ahead, sir. Hello? Oh, dear. We'll put you on hold. Now your network.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Welcome back, sir. Hello?
Or okay. Your network is poor, sir, so we'd have to move on to someone else. Sorry.
Hello, good afternoon. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon. Good afternoon, all.
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead, sir.
Dr. Majeed, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
This is Williams on the line. Dr. Majeed, you have said a lot in your first. I commend you for what you have said in terms of our regional body. This is 100% right, honestly speaking. That for the first time, I would disagree with you about ECOWAS and Nigeria, and I strongly believe that this country have their own sovereignty. They are entitled to pull out. they can pull out. But one thing I'll be able to disagree with you in terms of economic value, Nigeria forgot to do what they're supposed to do when ECOWAS was being built up. But when you look at economic value, I would expect Nigeria would have played a very strong role in terms of networking, in terms of what I mean networking, in terms of energy, in terms of gas. Because when you turn it off, turn Mali and turn Burkina Faso off, and Burkina Faso, you know the value of pulling her from ECOWAS, they could have looked at what economic value when pulled out from ECOWAS. They didn't look at it that they didn't have economic value of pulling out from ECOWAS. That is why I'll be able to say that Nigeria are really fair in terms of bringing ECOWAS together. When you fail to use what you have, what you really have in terms of energy, and you connect in that ECOWAS region with your gas, when you be able to tune it up, when they be able to, when they feel that
all right,
they have faith, and you turn it off, that is where they'll be able to understand. When you pull out from a regional body, you cannot be an island of your own.
All right.
For now, you have really fell out. Have a nice day.
Thank you very much, William. So let's take a quick break for the news at the top of the hour. Dorcas is already standing by.
This is Nigeria Info.